Cool. Hello, everybody. It's Narrative Tarot. I'm here with May wrap up. So, May 2021 wrap up. I did this last month, I think, and it was just like things I did and stuff like that. Anyway, so comment, like, subscribe to the channel if you're interested. I do monthly videos by planet, not zodiac. I did a crystal reading. We'll get to that later on, but I do other readings and stuff like that, more as I see fit. But that'll probably come a little bit more later. So yeah, so let's just get into the two things that I bought, or two things that I bought. So we have Tarot del Toro and crystal reading cards. Now, in my deck unboxing for these, I was like slightly disappointed in this, and that I felt that the cards really could have done better in terms of, like, you know, you have the majors that are like full details like that, and then you went more the Marseille, like Pippish kind of style with these. However, I have to say, I did a reading with them at school, and these are very much, I guess, given the imagery or the themes or whatever, it's a very dark kind of theme, darker theme, things like that, and the reading was dark too. So yeah, I'll link the deck, like the unboxing and stuff like that. So I decided to keep these because I really enjoyed working with them. They're a little bit darker, a little bit cheeky. I think they're a little bit more on the mediumship kind of side. It gives good advice. There's nothing really abstract, but I feel like there's a pull up maybe beyond the veil. In one of my animus class, he called it the other than humans. And so I'm okay with that with this deck. So I'm going to keep this deck. I don't know. It's something about it that's very interesting. I don't really feel like it's dangerous or dark or anything like that. I just think it's good for darker themes. I think that it was made with that in mind, and I enjoyed it. So I'm glad that I bought it. I bought the Stargate Tarot, or the Stargate deck. I don't have it downstairs with me, but that was another thing that I bought. I'm really excited to work with that. I probably won't be working with that, I feel like, next year, Aquarius season, or sometime in the end of the year, just because I'm in school and I think it'll be a better time in the winter for me. I was also listening to a podcast about time and seasons and stuff like that, and I'll go into that later, but it got me thinking about my favorite seasons. My all-time favorite season is actually like fall. I like winter as well, and I like spring. I'm really not a summer person, which is so funny because my birthday is like a few days after the summer solstice, and so I'm a Cancer sun, but I really am not a summer person. So it's always, it feels quite hazy with a hint of wistfulness and disappointment for some reason. Like there's a veil over, like chemically over me. It's almost like I fall into a depression around my birthday, and it's not on a miss people or I feel lonely. It's just like this weird space. I don't know if I'm like settling into being like this new age or what, but it's just kind of like really disappointing. Versus Capricorn season, I sober up a lot, and I feel like I'm a lot more productive in the winter months, mainly because you're not going out and stuff like that, but you're more productive and you're inside. Well, for me, I'm more productive. I plan a lot more. I'm a lot more structured. I'm a lot more detached from people and very concerned about me and my stuff and what I have to do. And so Wintertime is good for me. I don't really like blizzards, but I like a light snowfall. I like fall the best, particularly when it transitions and it gets cold, so like late September, October. Well, mid-October, November. That's when it gets really kind of cold, because early fall is like, it's still hot as shit. And it's like, no. But enough about that. I wanted to say this deck is leaving. So I bought it and I was interested in it because I was like, okay, cool. You know, I had a crystal deck, and I was like, okay, you know, maybe I'm being called to work with crystals again. And I just realized, like, I feel like the deck rejected me, and I'm just like, I like this deck in terms of the sheer amount of like non-popular, like I feel like it's a lot of like stones and things like that that are not mainstream, and I really enjoy that. However, the thing with me, and I felt like it was maybe showing in the readings with the crystals and stuff like that, was that I feel like because it has keywords, it actually distracts from me and my intuition, because it's like, okay, like I can look at this and then like cover this up, but once you see Morganite relationship healing, it's kind of like it almost directs you specifically in a direction, even if intuitively the other stuff that I'm picking up isn't related to that. I feel like when someone sees this, because their eye is going to relationship healing, they're assuming a lot, and they're placing a lot on the reading that then has to kind of almost have to work and fit everything within that context. And I don't really like that for me. I feel like for some people who, I'm gonna be real, read the book and they're really much by the book and they want to take this quite, I think, literally perhaps, then this would be great. I am going to sell it. But for me, I'm a lot more intuitive. I don't really read a lot of books in terms of like learning about systems and stuff like that and learning about meanings. I kind of go off of what the message is in that moment. And that's kind of how I read tarot too. So I'm not really into the meanings of a lot of things that are established. It's whatever meaning is coming through at that moment. And so I think that this weighs me down a little too much. I have a book that is upstairs that has a bunch of crystals. It's like 200 or so. And so I think I'm going to keep that. I have a video of this up already. So, you know, if I ever want to look at whatever crystal it is, I can always look at the video and do that. And, you know, I saved it and all. So this is going to go. I think it's the deck kind of rejected me and said, this is probably not where you're supposed to be. And I kind of feel like I'm trying to force crystals on my experiences. And I don't think I'm not going to say I don't really need crystals, but I think crystals don't really need me. And I think that where I'm going, crystals, they're helpful, but I think there's other tools that will come that are more helpful. So this is going. Quick turnaround. Next, things that I've been thinking about. So I have Saturn in my 6th house. I might make this a series, and I'm gonna say it's just kind of getting in there, like the last 6 months. It's like I'm already tired. With Saturn, like Saturn's been opposing my sun for the last 3 years. It's going to oppose my moon for the next 3 years, which means also that Pluto's been opposing my sun for like however many fucking years, and it's going to do that for the next like 3.5, 4, while it does its retrograde stuff as well. And then it'll be opposing my sun for another 12 years, something. I'm opposing my moon, so I'm just kind of like, so a lot of stuff that's been coming up is making my day structured. This is just more energetic stuff. So this is the energetic section. If you are interested, keep watching. But I feel so weighed down, heavy, responsibility. I'm much more aware of not necessarily aging. I kind of really feel like it's not that I'm reverse aging, it's just kind of like my perspective on life is kind of unencumbered by a lot of things, trauma and stuff like that. And that's a great thing for me, especially since it's opposing my moon, my natal moon. Because my natal moon is in the 3rd decan and it's inching towards the 1st house. So it may not be as strong as somebody who's like midway through or whatever. But I just kind of feel weighted down by like the stuff that I have to do. And also because things in my 6th house, like my work, my health, day-to-day stuff, because I'm not structured, I have an Aquarian 6th house, so I'm kind of more all over the place in that I just kind of innovate here, innovate there, and now Saturn is like, you need a system, make a system. So for me, it's been like a lot. So you notice I made a bunch of videos that talk about the changes. There's going to be more, but it's more of understanding that I can't sustain the level that I've been at, and physical tiredness is a thing that's coming on. And then I've taken on more responsibilities because I've applied for a job. I hadn't planned on working while I was in school, but I decided to do it because it would help financially, and it just made a lot of sense financially if there was no other income coming in. So I made that, and having to structure your life differently and kind of integrate yourself with what's going on has been kind of like hard, because while I'm on things like Instagram and YouTube and all this kind of stuff, I'm not really into the newest technology. I don't have a TikTok. I made a Snapchat and just realized the shit wasn't for me. My friend, he sends me a lot of websites and apps, and you just like, oh God. But, you know, I kind of feel like I need that sort of stuff, because not necessarily always like social media apps and stuff, but I do need some sort of thing that mitigates some of the things that I have to do. Then I have to update my like tech life, have to update my, you know, professional skills. It's like a lot of upgrading that I have to do, and it is, sometimes I feel so lost in that. So the last few months, not just May, have been really interesting in that I'm changing the channel, in that it's just been about growth and dealing with things like perfectionism, dealing things with failure, looking stupid because this is a new field to me and stuff like that, and letting that last bit of like, I think who I was kind of raised to be, so to speak, go, and growing and things like that. And so energetically it's kind of been interesting. I will say that the Sagittarius full moon like eclipse thing, that was interesting. I know people were like, oh, this isn't a good time to start new stuff, it's time to let go. But honestly, I started something new and it worked out, and it worked out pretty fast. So for me, I'm glad that happened. You know, because I made it, and it was Mercury retrograde too. So I made it in my mind I was going to get a job. I went to a fair, like the job fair, interviewed. Turns out a lot of people triangulated, kind of knew one another in the situation, helped, and then I got offered a job like 2 days later. So, you know, energy moves fast when you get out of your own way. I will say that. Energy works fast when you know what direction you're going in. And it moves fast when you also, I think, are kind of grateful. And it's kind of like you've earned it energetically. Like you put in enough emotional work, spiritual work to get it, and that you'll also not chain yourself to it, but you're willing to take on the chain of responsibility, which is like Saturn, day-to-day kind of shit in my 6th house. So that's been interesting, and I gotta wrap that cycle up. A lot of financial stuff is kind of starting clearing itself up. I'm like, oh. It's almost like, you know, once you buckle down and you do things, you actually do them, it becomes a lot lighter. And I've kind of realized, yes, I'm an intensive kind of person, but I also like doing things all at once. Doing not a lot of things, but having a to-do list and doing them all and just taking dedicated time to do it and be there instead of scattered. And being present and grounding. And so Saturn is grounding my experience here in the now, and I'm really interested in that. So that's energetically what I've been like dealing with, but I'm kind of happy to go forward and do what we need to do going forward. But there's just been some sacrifices that have been made in terms of scheduling this stuff that I have, and then knowing that I have to work and go to school now. How does that all fit in? And that's being made with a new environment. So I'm so happy. So that's all I have. I'm gonna go to the next video, I think, instead, to talk about June book club and what happened to May. So thank you for watching. This is just a little catch up. I don't really do too much. I don't really buy too many things per month, so it's kind of like, you know. But I will say that I'm really happy as far as decks go for this one. I feel like it'd probably be a really good one. Oh, it might work well with my Robert in Place deck. Looking at it now. All right, thank you for watching. I really appreciate it. Take care. Bye.